Voila. So summertime, huh? And good friends. 26 years, huh?
Exactly. We started coming in
1991. Isn't great? Great. I'm just very surprised to see you both here.
Very happy to be here.
So, let's extend to each other, right? As we do. We'll close our eyes for a moment. Nothing like a good surprise. And we'll suspend our mind just a little bit. We're not going to record our program today. Neither did we record it last week. So we'll extend through our body, all the way down to the earth, and all the way back up to the heart, paddle to the mouth, top of the head. It's always interesting about the energy, huh? It always has a universal flavor, but also it has a very singular flavor simultaneously, huh? It's as if everyone's own initial is on it, huh? Their own initial. This mixture, huh? Of vastness and singularity. Singularity. Then we'll extend to the immediacy of our situation, which is us and our friends on the internet. So we'll extend. And these extensions are inside to inside, huh? They're direct. And then we'll make another extension to our ancestors, the mothers and the fathers, the mothers and the fathers. The generational field. And we know that the veil between this dimension and the other dimension is so thin. In mind alone, it's really impossible. It's a big abyss. In awareness, so close. Then, we'll extend to all the great teachers we've met in our life. And by teachers, we don't simply mean formal religious teachers. I mean all the different people who we've met, and through that meeting, through that connection, awareness awakens. So in that way, the guru is not only our own awareness, but within everything and everyone, huh? That's the theme we were focusing last week on, the nature of the guru. This nature of primordial awareness manifesting itself as everything and anything, and manifesting itself within us, as us, and then also it reveals itself to us slowly but surely through everything and anything. You can't really institutionalize awareness. You can try. The dilemma when we institutionalize awareness, in a certain way, becomes a thing. It becomes a thing. So we extend to all our teachers and the yogis we've met. Then we'll extend to all the different traditions we participate in. With geography being so tiny and information so available, we have many different traditions and lineages, huh? And they mix in our bodies, and we become universal people. It's our own little mixture, huh? That liberates us. Our own circumstances. Our own opinions. Then we'll extend to this awareness. All this is a manifestation of this awareness. Just so mysterious. The archetypal, the archetypes, Sambhogakaya, to use Dzogchen language. The vortexes, the energies, the light, the configurations that manifest everything and anything. And especially we'll invoke, bring forth the Dakini, the Deva. This morning, the feminine dimension, which is gnosis itself, knowingness, that is direct, unmediated, and felt. Really happy to have Yetta and Dina here this morning. It's always great meeting friends, because the energy arises, huh? In fact, the meeting of friends is one of the most direct ways of becoming aware of awareness, of having that inside to inside recognition. So we're going to pick up where we were at last week, in this issue of, in our little seminar, which is Contributions of Phenomenology and Dzogchen to Psychotherapy and Healing, because Dzogchen, which is Tantra, a form of Tantra, and Phenomenology are quite the same. In fact, they have journals now with Phenomenology and Tantra. Phenomenology is like the Western form of Tantra, huh? The Western form of experiencing and articulating and understanding this drama of becoming aware of embodied awareness. Huh? And last week, Juliet raised the question between the difference between Dzogchen and Mahamudra. We touched on that, but I'd like to go back again to that. And it's not so much that we're preoccupied with differences in methods of entering awareness, but rather these differences actually tell us something fundamentally fundamental about the nature of awareness and what's going on. Everybody here right now? Together? Great. So let's go back to where we started about the issue of the pure view and having a pure view. And in this tradition of Dzogchen, and even in Phenomenology, the pure view, that pure moment, that pure experiencing, is our direct experiencing of pure being in and of itself, and also the pure view through and with the appearance of phenomenal existence, stuff. And the pure view is expressed by Dujum Lingpa, that great 19th century yogi who brought forth the Dujum lineage, and says the pure view is knowing phenomenal existence as pervasive purity. It's knowing all phenomena, feel the person next to you, all phenomena as pervasive purity. Wow. That doesn't always fit with my experience. What do they mean by that? And he goes on, all phenomenal existence, phenomenology, all appearance is pervasively pure as appearance. And the desire for this pure view takes us beyond our continuous containment within dualist experience alone. And of course, as we know, pure view, pure vision can be pure love. Huh? That's the most easy. And the pure view, pure love, take us to the doorway of dualistic appearance. That's me and you, us and them, into the non-duality of pure being. So here we're trying to bring forth that phenomena, that this awareness, that the non-dual awareness state takes place within phenomena. That the state of non-duality takes place within phenomena. And that through phenomena we can enter non-duality. Through the phenomena of our own embodiment, we can enter into the non-dual state. And through the phenomena of everything we see, we can enter non-duality. So how we relate to phenomena and how phenomena can be opened for us, that we can experience the beingness of the being of the phenomena, is liberation. In Dzogchen, we take phenomena seriously, right? We become aware of awareness. We understand there's two ways of knowing. There's knowing with my mind, and there's knowing with awareness. That distinction is really fundamental both in phenomenology and in Dzogchen. And when I know with my mind, I know beings. I know Tom being. know my being. I know things, microphones. I know subtle things, gross things. I know difference. I can feel the difference with my mind. I know me and you. I know difference. As the Dakini said to Dorjem Lingpa, you and I, that's two, are indivisible. With mind there's two, and with awareness there's still two within the indivisibility of awareness. Awareness knows being. Awareness knows being. And in this frame, when I enter into awareness, I can experience being. But I'm not going to know you unless I integrate my mind into this awareness. And that's the alchemical, that's the mysterious conjunctio, that this capacity of integrating our mind within awareness allows me to experience through duality, non-duality. And within duality, non-duality. In Mahamudra, and in that form of Buddhism, which was brought to Tibet in the 11th century from India, in Indian philosophy, and in Buddhist philosophy, beginning with the Four Noble Truths, kind of form of spiritual materialism, phenomena is considered to be delusion. It's deluded. It's considered to be invalid. And at the root, it's considered to be non-existent. It's a fantasy. It's a bit as if. Deluded, right? So, that's a big difference. Whether this dini is a doorway and opening into non-duality, or is it all simply within Simwa? So these two, this is a difference that emerges in Tibetan Buddhism. It emerges in Hinduism and Kashmir Shaivism. The importance of phenomena and how we relate to phenomena. So so you're sort of having a shift, a fundamental shift in what the spiritual path is. And one path is transcendence. You with me? I'm going to transcend this deluded place. I'm transcending it. Gate. I'm going beyond it, beyond it, beyond it. And I'm using methods of dissociation. Neti. Not this body, not these desires, oh my God. Not these desires. Not my attachments, not my bondedness. That's all a source of suffering. It's also the source of happiness too. So it's transcendence, and it's a path of dissociativeness, right? This other path, where we begin to take phenomena seriously, begin to experience phenomena as the manifestation of primordial awareness. We take source and appearance as being the same. In Mahamudra, we don't take source and appearance the same. We don't take reality, we don't take phenomena as reality. They're the same. In Dzogchen, in Phenomenology, we take reality and phenomena as exactly the same. When I sit in this little room right now, this is not some kind of illusionary display. It is the actuality of the manifestation of awareness. It's embodiment. It's relational. It's experiencing the beingness of being, of everything and anything. If I can experience from my own awareness, with my mind infused by that awareness, in that awareness, not dissociated from that space. More often than not, our mind is dissociated from this awareness, right? So if we integrate this mind and integrate our bodies into this awareness, then through this awareness, I can experience through your being itself. And I can experience through my own being itself. That is the pure view. That's a pure view. The pure view is to have the capacity to enter awareness and experience that openness and that radiance, that light. And since it takes one to know one, if I can experience that openness and that light, then I can, through the residence, experience that openness and that light in you. Whether you're a great being or an asshole, it makes no difference. In the pure view, whether what's in front of you is a great being or an asshole, makes no difference whatsoever. The pure view experiences the indivisibleness, the oneness, and the light in that creature or that beast. In the other traditions of Mahamudra, the pure view means to have a pure view of Tom, especially Tom as teacher. Then Tom is a perfect person, which he is, okay? And he's perfect in everything. He's perfect in his mind. He's perfect in his body. In fact, Sakyamuni used to brag about his perfect body. It's so perfect. Sort of like Trump. I'm serious. So also, Tom has to be perfectly pure in his mind. Perfectly pure sexually. Perfectly pure in thoughts. Perfectly pure in feelings. Perfectly pure financially. He has to be perfect because he is the Buddha, or he's Shiva, or he's the Christos. Not only that, but he's perfect in towards me. However he looks at me, whatever he says to me is perfect. Whatever he wants from me is perfect. Even as I'm talking, he's getting bigger and I'm getting smaller. Donation time.
I got more.
Actually, it's true. You see, when you focus on a person, all that energy goes. That's why I always ask you guys when I give out, please focus on me and I'll give a better talk. And it's true. This light, this energy, huh? So the perfect view in that tradition has to, you have to go to the bathroom perfectly. You have to eat perfectly. You have to sit perfectly. You have to see perfectly. You have to have your book perfectly. Your posture has to be perfectly. And that's liberation. When you die. Or some sort of way you transcend the moment. Now that is a totally valid path. It was totally valid. It's totally valid. It's a very monastic path. You with me? And then also, with this, we're just not hanging out, but often we'll make Tom our leader. He's perfect. And with that, we start adding a theocratic frame on it. You with me? Because he is the Buddha. I have to see him as the Buddha. I have to see him as the Buddha, or Shiva, or whoever the big metaphor is, okay? And so with that, it becomes very theocratic and patriarchal. Sometimes there's women, but usually the women are to support Tom. This is true. This is true. Okay. I hope no one's offended about this, okay? So, and this is played off not only here in spiritual paths, it's played off in every place in this world. Huh? This dilemma of the perfect view. So that perfect view is a conventional view. And that perfect view, if I have that perfect view with you, Tom, I would be giving up, first of all, my self-agency, because obedience becomes very important in all this, right? Because he's also infallible. He's a petite pope. He's infallible, and he knows everything about me, even if I don't know it. Infallibility, right? We'll hook that on there. So first I give up self-agency, okay? It's okay because he's going to tell me what to do in most places, okay? Or it'll be written out someplace. And also, there's something else that happens. This is actually, there's not an experience, at least my experience. I give up something else too. I give up gnosis. I give up self-gnosis. I give up knowing that really what's in you is me also. And I'm waiting around to get it in time. And usually I need some kind of blessing, or I need some kind of empowerment, not knocking empowerments, or I need a certificate that I know I have it. You with me?
And then you start getting pretty pissed off at me.
Yes. Yeah, no, not necessarily. I usually will get pissed off at me because in this tradition you don't see any evil. You don't see anything bad there. It's hear no evil, see no evil. Really, it's put like this. You don't hear it. And so this is a really surprise, you with me, when things are very manifesting, huh? But that's the opening to freedom. That's the opening to freedom. Now, but then if you read texts on this, like there's one called My Guru Teaches, My Lama Drinks Whiskey, okay? And the person who's one of Tinley Norbo's sons who says, yes, but this practice is the highest practice to see Tom as perfect. Are you with me? And once you can do that, you have to be very careful who you choose, first of all. But it's still trying to maintain that frame. You with me? And that frame is falling apart. It's falling apart right now, which is really cool. Salute. Doesn't mean that I don't love Tom or like Tom. Because that system, that culture, is unconscious. We think that unconscious is a seething cauldron of instincts, right? Or we think, oh, it's something that happened to me when I was 4 and I don't remember it. That's a teeny weeny unconscious. Culture is the great unconscious from my frame. Systemic way of viewing this world. So we're going to pause for a second. Yes, please.
In my understanding of Dzogchen.
That's not Dzogchen we're talking about.
No, but where you're going.
Yep, where I'm running.
That I could do that, and I'm just as likely to be awakened as if I do something else. It doesn't matter.
That, on one level, is true, but if you're awakened, that view will collapse for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because what Dzogchen does
Whether you'll get it or not.
is another thing. But what Dzogchen does, it erases everything and anything before it. It erases it erases everything. It actually dissolves culture. So in a certain way, it is anarchy. I remember one of the first Dzogchen masters who came here, and it's the same thing in Shaivism with Swami Muktananda. But when the first was Lama Wandera comes here, and he was a very independent character. And he tells a story where he carried his teacher from the Himalayas, and he carried him into India. Okay. And then he moves to Solpema, which was this Indian lake where supposedly Padmasambhava was with Mandarava, and they had this great relationship and love, and they experienced all this through their relationship, the light of awareness and completeness. Huh? So he lived there. It was really tough living there initially. So he's there, but he's starting to make a go of it. People are coming, you know. So his teacher says, please, I want you to come back with me. Come back with me. To back to where he was someplace. So Lama Wandera says, I'm not coming back. That was his first teaching. Independence. So most of the teachers we've had here have been independent in the Dzogchen tradition. Huh? Independence. The authority is with you. So back to pure vision. Back to pure vision. So pure vision is not the perfection of my own mind, the perfection of my own body, the perfection of my own anything and anything. Pure vision is my capacity to experience my awareness in myself and to see. It's not really seeing it, it's experiencing it in phenomena around me, just as it is. So there's not much of a missionary moment to this, just as it is. So we'll pause for a minute, find my notes. So certain forms of like Mahamudra meditation, going back to Juliet's, and this is not about people personally, it's about tradition, it's about lineage. You with me? So part of Mahamudra is you enter into awareness, and often there can be a transmission in that. Sometimes the teacher may say, mingle your mind with me, or mingle your awareness with me. Huh? Or let's enter awareness together. Lean into me, I'll lean into you. Let's extend different languages, huh? Of where this awareness arises inside of us both simultaneously arising. Perhaps you're experiencing it right now. And then as it arises simultaneously, we begin to embody it, huh? Because it is reality. It is actuality. It's not as if. Now, if I just stay in this awareness without mind, without integrating mind, and I dissociate my mind from all this because I have a history of dissociation, right? I'm at the door, but I'm not through the door yet, as Dr. Yen would say. You're at the door of Qigong, but you're not through the doorway yet. Because in this tradition, the doorway is my mind. My mind, fucked up or not, is really, really useful to integrate this mind into awareness and integrate this body into awareness. Then that is the alchemical mixture for self-liberation. They don't talk about realization, Dzogchen. It's self-liberation. It's self being free in the circumstances of our life, not better circumstances.
So is mind heart mind?
It's the heart-mind connection. Same thing with all these different, like Yen Qin. It's the heart-mind connection is the central thing. Or what Jung called it, the mysterious conjunctio. Because his understanding was, as he grew, which was hard for him because he really wanted to be an analyst and stay at the level of psychology or onticness, but he kept having to go into ontology, the ontology of the archetypes, and bringing his mind into the field of being, and then he could have the conjunctio in his life with his companions. Say yes if you guys are following this. You don't have to believe it, okay? So, in the mysterious conjunctio, that union, I'm having to bring my mind into my heart. The entire Godaba Tantra, and all this unfolds over time, like most things unfold over time for all of us, huh? So the first form of the teachings of Buddha were the Four Noble Truths, okay? Not this, not that, but rather pessimistic, huh? And there was no cosmology in it, no cosmology, no ontology. It was kind of a psychology. It was all had to do with causality and stopping the causal run. Then he dies, and that was a big deal, his death. Where is the Buddha now? Oh, he's gone. Thus gone is gone, okay? And then in the first or second century, Narguna comes and starts to speak about emptiness in a powerful way, sunyata, void, vastness. But he said, I can't say much positive about it, but this vastness is cosmological, and our mind takes place in that. That's a really big one. And then that great text on the purity of phenomena starts to rise then also, okay?
What century is that again?
Second century officially, okay. So,
Did you say it was the king?
Narguna.
Oh, Narguna.
And the Paramita, there's a great text to the mother, and the mother is seen as the great void, huh? So you start to have this mixture coming in. And then comes the Uttara Tantra in the 3rd century. All this takes time, right? And in the 3rd century, Uttara Tantra comes, and it begins to speak about Buddha mind. So now the Buddha is no longer a person. It's no longer Tom. The Buddha is now primordial awareness itself, manifesting everything and anything. But it's a seed. We can't quite go all the way yet. It's a seed. There's a seed in us. And if we do the right things and you meet the right people, the seed will come into fruition. But you're not complete. Then comes the Godaba Tantra in the 8th century. The Nyingma tradition starts to rise. And it comes out of Tibet. It comes right out of Tibet itself. And it says, everything is awareness. Everything is the manifestation of awareness. Everything is this spaciousness and radiance and energy. And the great compassion is that. And it's also pantheistic. And then that's why you begin to hear that also the Guru is pantheistic in everything and anything. So the aspect of pantheism arises in the 8th century. And there's an interface of Kashmir Shaivism, which is pantheistic, and certain forms of Tibetan Zen, which is also pantheistic. So you start to begin to experience life itself as divine. And there's a great book called Establishing Appearances as Divine by a great Dzogchen master in the 11th century. And he starts to codify this and uses nothing before him on that. Rongzam. You guys okay how we're going through this a little bit? Yes, please.
Did the Bon tradition influence this?
Yes, that's a really great question. The Bon tradition is a shamanistic tradition. That was the first group we had here, with all the Bon lamas come and got in a few fights with them, as we tend to do. But it was great because they were shamanistic. You with me? And so the issue of shamanism starts to arise. And the shamanists, and they had their own shamanistic deities and the shamanistic Buddhist deities. So the Nyingma and Bon are very, very close, okay? Baba comes in at the same time. They mix. They relate to each other. They mate with me. And so the Bon tradition, the shamanistic tradition, with Pamasam Baba, who also comes from not from India, but from Pakistan and places like that. So Dzogchen is its own thing. You with me? And out of this arising, how you relate to, as the later tantras, how do you relate to divinities is also different, because the divinities are us, and the issue is shamanistic. How can I bring forth this configuration in me today? You with me? Whether it's a beneficent one like Saraswati, or the Divine Mother as Tara, beneficence, or Durje Drulo as a ruthless killer. You with me? How to bring, because they understand, not unlike quantum physics, there's this intermediate area between us sitting here in this room, pure potential awareness, Dharmakaya, and what takes place, all this energy and all this light. But it's not transcendent. Hello? This is important. When people think the deities are transcendent, they will tend to dissociation. When people think the deities are transcendent, they will tend to dissociative experience in order to access that, rather than being in the very nature of their own being coming forth within them. Say yes if you follow us. It's an so it's all invocative. So the power of invocation is in myself, invoking these energies, invoking this light, invoking this configuration, both in myself, but both also in my situation. So there's differences that run through the so-called New Translation traditions, which are the Kagyu traditions, Sakya traditions, Galupa traditions, and some of the other stuff. We're a little bit on Buddhist this morning, but we've been talking about this deal. Again, these are opinions, right? Like most everything are opinions. So,
And Rudy, I apologize. Sometimes the energy of bikinis or deities feels outside of my body. It's not always in my body.
That's really true. It's not always inside my body, because it's a configuration that's manifesting not from my mind but around me. Anytime you do an invocation, it's non-local. It's both local and non-local. It is both local, and so when you do these invocations, it's both local and non-local, right? It's both within me. But say right now, within me, we can practice together. Say we're going to invoke the primordial guru. We've been focusing on the guru last week. Whatever that means for you, the primordial guru, which is not a person, though you can use a person, but this unit. So the configuration of bringing forth that dimension of what does that mean? It means gnosis. We can call it jnana dakini. It means gnosis. It means direct perception. Direct perception of what? Direct perception of awareness. And the field of awareness, it's invoking the field. Anytime you invoke a field, is the field simply in your body or beyond you? It'll be beyond you, huh? So sometimes also, another way is we can feel the field in another person. I could be having a bad day today, right? So I'm sitting there, Skip, and Mimi, and I feel them, I lean into them, I enter into them, and I feel the energy, huh? I feel the chi, I feel the shakti. So the pure view is not just open space, it's also light. It illumines everything. And it's also energy, huh? It's energy. It's vitalness. It is vitalness. Unborn, undying vitalness, huh? And it arises in me and in us. Another dimension in this, mind and awareness, is time and timelessness. And when we have this union, mysterious conjunctio of our mind, heart, mind, and awareness, then we can hold time and timelessness simultaneously. This is a human capacity. Oh, this is us. And to be able to hold time and timelessness is cool. Let's see if we can do that. My mind knows time. My awareness knows timelessness. In that union, I can experience time in timelessness. That is really, really free. That's liberation right there. To feel time in timelessness. And also to experience timelessness in time. Especially as you get really old. And as I feel time, there are 3 times. There's the present moment. There's the past moment of a person. There's the past moment of this situation. And there's a future. Future of a person and the future of the situation. And as Yangtang Rinpoche, who actually I love a lot, like a lot, would say, the great compassion is the capacity to extend this awareness into time, into the present moment of a person or a situation, into the past time of the person, and into the future of the person. And you see, that's the real alchemy, to be able to do that from timeless awareness. And that is the range of the guru. So to talk about guru, because the guru is not a person. As soon as you think the guru is a person, you're going into a social, political state. That doesn't say the guru doesn't come through us, which is the light, the energy, or through great teachers, as we know. Great teachers who are sometimes fools. Sometimes fools. A person can be great and still a fool, right? Doesn't that make sense? A person can be great and still a fool. You can be great and a fool.
That's a lot.
Yeah, great and a fool. They're not excluded at all. If they're excluded, you're going back to the conventional view of purity. Then you have a perfect person. It's really great to experience, and that, not only that, but it dominates your life in a lot of other ways. Your conventional purity can really be troublesome in this existence. It just doesn't work. You're at your deathbed and you realize, it didn't work. What the fuck? Famous last words. So,
Rudy,
yes,
it also has that the awareness of that in our humanness, that time and timelessness allows for the bodhisattva, the right action, if you will,
Yes.
in the moment.
yes. Thank you for bringing that, because that takes us to the next step. And the next step is this. The pure vision, to use that word, not only brings me into the experience of non-duality, oneness and separateness, or that bodhisattva, that movement arising, which is out, not out of my mind, it's out of the spanda, out of my body, out of my chest. It allows me, at times, to be beyond good and evil, and within good and evil at the same time. It allows me to experience being beyond good and evil at one aspect, and actually living in good and evil. Because if I'm going to, because one of the other aspects of this whole thing, in order to be, if we think, to be in non-dual relationship, we have to foreclose duality, right? So a lot of traditions, I remember one time I asked to give a talk at the non-dual thing, and I went there, and nobody thought anything was real, you know? I'm eating dinner, but they think you have to foreclose duality. Really, there's no duality, and there's only non-duality, you know? So when you foreclose duality, you get run over by buses, the Chinese communists come over and take your country, create genocide. You know, it's really not good for dogs and people, okay? Serious. So what happens when you hold awareness inside to inside to the degree possible? It infuses our mind. My mind has actually gotten better over the years. So has everybody else's. It's a better mind. Still wobbly. Still can't add. But because the light of awareness infuses our mind. So at one level, you're experiencing the non-dual state, and you're experiencing the beingness of the being, your being, and the beingness of the being, which is one being, and the duality of that being and your being. But it also opens your mind, and you can see shit you never saw before. That light influences our mind. When you think you have to dissociate your mind to be in non-duality, and appearances are fucked up and don't count, or you're just being judgmental and crude, and you're not just seeing goodness, you will be fucked up. Maybe not immediately. But the light of awareness infuses the light of the mind. So the same great Lama, and also Muktananda would say the same thing. I like when Rongjampa, I have trouble spelling these little Tibetan names, would say there's gnosis of awareness and gnosis of mind. Gnosis of mind is as important as gnosis of awareness. So mind starts having more direct perception. You with me? Doesn't mean you're always accurate, but he is really one of the R-O-N-G-O-Z-M, I think, Rongjampa, okay? I will spell out later to you. So Rongjampa, Longchenpa, Mirpam, Dujam Lingpa. Not all Dzogchen masters teach this stuff, okay? Teach this aspect, okay? That awareness itself infuses your mind. It should, right? If it doesn't infuse your mind, you're only in being itself. But you don't see beings. You don't experience beings. You don't experience situations. You don't experience context. Then you start thinking context doesn't count. Beings don't count. This life doesn't count. It's all illusion. That's not very relational in this time and age. You follow what I'm saying here? So it infuses your mind that you actually see the mind in another person, more mind. You actually see and experience. By see, I don't mean just S-E-E-I-N-G, I mean knowing. Your mind has a knowledge of humanness more directly. in duality. Raise your hands if that makes some sense to you. So in that way, at times, you can be free, liberated in a circumstance and living in the circumstance simultaneously. That is liberation right there. Just as you are and just as I am. And you don't go into the world, hear no evil, see no evil. You hold both. Your mind is in awareness. It's infusing your sight. And also it's infusing your body because you feel. And sometimes when you know stuff, you feel, you don't necessarily know it conceptually, you simply know it. And for some people, they get images. And some people, they get sounds. And some people, they get smells. But the mind, as you hold awareness, as you embody awareness, as you actually embody your mind, the primary dissociation is the dissociation of mind from embodiment, huh? And as you embody the mind in the light of awareness, in the luminosity of the field, some people think the field doesn't count at all. They think it's a spiritual illusion. You with me? That's because they don't have it. That's because they don't experience it. But nowadays, even in cognitive psychology, they're starting to look at things as extended mind. There's a vast amount of extended mind, right? Enacted mind, how the mind goes beyond our body, huh? I actually know a wonderful person who's at Yale. She teaches the imaging courses there, the brain, and she's really interested in this, in how to start studying. I finally met that person, okay? How to start seeing what takes place in the brain when you start having these different perceptions, huh? We're talking about doing some stuff. Yes. So raise your hands if we're following our little talk today about pure view, embodied view, and liberation. And also how to understand traditions. Any questions? Then we'll do some practice together. Because we're actually practicing Tantra. We'll go back to practicing that today. One more thing about Tantra is that this light is always an embodied light, right? So as we start embodied, we feel the column. How many feel the column? You feel the column through your body, right? And in the text on the dakinis, there's this stick they have. That stick really is a symbol of the column of light. And they have hooks, and that's for being able to magnetize the energy. So some of the fivefold act of what we have awareness is one, the act of extending. Let's extend. We'll extend to Tom. And as soon as you extend to a person, it comes back to you, right? But also, there's the power of magnetization. And so you can pull the energy, right? He's not drying up, okay? You're not a vampire. Because the energy is unbound. You pull the energy in, you become more vitalized. If you're having trouble with vitality, you pull the energy in, bring it in. You can also tone it down, or you can amplify it. And we've been focusing a bit last week on sexuality, right? Sexuality, right? And how to integrate, and we can do this with everything, our more primal experience into this awareness, huh? And so often sexuality can often be two places. One place it can be dissociated, right? It's sort of out here, it's dissociated, it's not in me, it's outside me for whatever reasons. So how to integrate the sexual sphere, S-P-H-E, into myself. Then the other side, it can be outside of me, but it organizes me completely. You with me? I'm totally organized by the sexual energy, but it's not really. I have no freedom around it, and I primarily use sexuality to discharge. You with me? So sexuality becomes a discharge drama, primarily discharging to self-regulate, right? So a lot of sexuality is not for fun, it's for discharging everything from trauma. So it's a process of self. So one of the things that happens in Tantra is we want to integrate anger, we want to integrate everything and everything, absolutely everything, into our body and into this awareness, which is not in my mind alone or my heart, but through the column of love, through my body into the earth, right? See if we can find that right now. And then we want to integrate sexuality into this column, which is another metaphor for the Kundalini Shakti, right? That it becomes an embodied experience. And maybe we'll play with that in a little while again, like we did last week. Anybody want to say anything?
Maybe.
Yes, please.
Well, I understand a lot of this delusion,
Mm-hmm.
reference to delusion, is trying to work with the idea of impermanence. And that what the Tantra flow brought in was that there's a continuity, and I wonder, is the continuity of energy that's in Tantra dealt with in the Mahamudra in any way?
You know,
An attachment to wanting to hold on to
yeah. Many lamas, when they speak about this, they get stuck in it.
Yeah.
You've heard it many times, they get stuck. So that's what I give my little opinion, okay? The Tantra, the early Tantras started when they began awakening was the continuity of awareness. First of all, was to live in the continuity of awareness through everything and anything. And the issue of purity is really important in this, because Tantras actually arose in opposition to the purity assumptions of Indian philosophy. If you've ever been to India, there's a lot of really purity is really a big deal there. And I guess if it's not, you die. So, but everything is purity, even though it's the opposite, because when you focus, so the Tantras arose against the Four Noble Truths. You with me? Against desire is the source of all suffering. You with me? Against that everything disappears. It does disappear, but also things arise again. There's this drum of appearance and disappearance. Welcome back. And everything appears and disappears. And you appear and you disappear. And circumstances appear, they disappear. And when you only focus on disappearance, you will have a depressed background. You won't be a happy person, unless you dissociated and you developed your schizoid self into a very impeccable way, okay? Untouched. And compassion is not just wishing people well and wishing people like happy birthday. The power of that extension, the power of the relatedness. And so the continuity, Tantra took off. And there were battles. But often Tantra was taught this way. The first level is and you see this with Tibetans, you see this with Hindus, they start off and they go back to Sutra. And there's an attempt to try and keep you in the sutras, and then they teach you sutra quick, and then you go to Mahayana, then you end up with this. Because they want to be faithful to the origin, just like Freud, analysts want to be faithful to Freud, and it just doesn't always work. You with me? So we want to be faithful to the leader. We want to be faithful to Jesus or Allah or whoever the big person is. You with me? You follow what I mean by that? So Tantra arose with continuity, but first was continuity of awareness, and continuity through whatever we did. So they would have actions that would go against all the purity things. You with me? Whatever they would go against these, there's a certain word they use, in order to feel the continuity of awareness didn't depend on me being obedient to my superego no matter what. You with me? That's what they attempted to do. You with me? But then they got into this oppositional thing, and they get stuck in opposition at times. And then also they got stuck in a lot of rituals. They would ritualize everything. You with me? Because it was a very ritualized place, and they were taking. So with the Uttara Tantra, it starts to come up about the seed is in everybody, but they still had this obedience to purity. Then comes the Uttara Tantra, the Gaudaba Tantra, and the Gaudaba Tantra starts to break the whole thing apart. You with me? And the continuity is also life after life, death after death, and continuity starts also. It starts to put sexuality as an event in the person's life. Through the tantras, sexuality became one of the major things. Yogini tantras, you with me? And so the tantras became primarily sexual rituals that became foremost, and the very ordinary circumstances of life dropped aside. You following? So often you go, it was the Vedic thing, you'd be taught Vedic, and then you'd be taught some kind of Shaivistic thing, and then you'd be introduced to the Kula tantras, okay? The same thing in Tibetan. That answering your thing. And so the background of sexuality, which was forbidden and desire, would come about, but it came about in a ritualized frame and not as the natural part of life. Raise your hand. That making sense what I'm saying? And so that's being undone right now. Any other questions? Yes.
The issue of bodhisattva attitude and compassion.
Yep.
If nothing exists, I mean, how do they integrate that notion with?
Okay, that's a real. I always had that question too.
It doesn't make sense.
Who am I compassionate for?
If nobody is
Okay.
anything,
Yeah.
then what am I doing here?
What's happening here?
Right.
And this is the as if phenomenon. So you start taking things as if. Now I say this at the same time, but with some of the lamas of the Kagyu tradition and Dryken tradition, I have gotten an enormous amount from. You with me?
Yeah.
And I put my mind aside to take the best and leave the rest.
Right.
I do. I take the best and I leave the rest. But the great compassion is taken out of relational context. You with me? But the Enigma tradition brings it back into a relational thing. But not only is it relational, but it's also relation in the present, in the past, and the future. So people like this think a terrible thing is happening right now. I'm going to focus on that person because it's non-local in the present moment. I'm going to focus on them in the past, and I'm going to focus on them in the future. A terrible event happens to this person. They're taken out horribly. I focus on them at the moment of their death, and I focus on them in the future. With me? And there should be a powerful arising of energy. There should be some experience that takes place in this event. But compassion is a very relational thing. It has to be. And it has to be between you and I and us and them and the cities. And so that whole thing as if starts to fall apart. You with me? Anyway, any other questions? And then we'll work together. Is this making sense? Yes. Amen.
So a thing that has been going through my experience as
Mhm.
I listen to this is the concept of dissociation.
Yep.
And dissociation as it arises in early childhood, say, from trauma. Because so much of what we're talking about is the effects of dissociation.
Cultural dissociation and personal dissociation and trauma.
Right. And also how that gets internalized inside each
Yes.
individual being.
Yep.
So, for the first time, instead of thinking of trauma as it's an something.
Yep.
And then becomes a broadly applied strategy for living.
Yep.
Right? So I think that the germ of my question has to do with how do we come up with this in the first place? Is it an innate physical experience that we gravitate to when there is unbearable pain or unbearable circumstances? Is it biological? Is it cultural?
Let me go about it this way, because that's a really great question, isn't it? But dissociation, I'd like to talk about baby gnosis, baby knowingness. And I think the first guru is the mom, more or less, right? Or a mom figure, right? And I think as we come into being, this incarnational drama, this embodiment drama, is the drama of humanness. That's what I do like that aspect of Christianity, huh? And I like the Old Testament speaks about Jesus. Jesus is the Son of Man, not the Son of God. The Son of Man is a great understanding. You've ever heard of that concept, the Son of Man? And the Son of Man means this incarnational creature, this person that brings the phenomena of incarnation into actuality. And the early Gnostics, that's why I've been bringing Gnostic teachers in here, the early Gnostics were incarnational. And the power of incarnation, the drama of being incarnated in this life, and incarnated in this life, and actually sustaining incarnation life after life, okay? And then you have with Athanasius in the 3rd century the politics of religion again coming in, and the importance of again creating a theocratic frame. And it's not just Jesus. Jesus was the Son of God, starts really becoming important, and the church is the weight of God, and you have a whole theocratic thing again that interferes with the natural process of incarnating. That's on the religious side. But baby gnosis, which we all have been through, the baby gnosis is the knowingness. And there's more and more studies that the baby is in non-dual relatedness, you with me? In a symbiotic state, and also in separation simultaneously. But as we start this drama of unfolding this gnosis, this knowingness, huh? And the gaze, the translucent gaze, because this is all about gazing with our whole body. And you can see the mom gazing and the baby gazing, you with me? That is a non-dual state within duality from my point of view. Because the baby does see, all these studies on very early. So this non-dual state begins that way, you with me? Now what is amazing about all this stuff, amazing, as the mind starts being grown in internalizing family systems and generational fields and events, and actually embodiment itself, depending on pain in the body and all these thousands of factors, sometimes baby gnosis starts to get foreclosed. Actually, Freud uses that word too. It gets foreclosed, right? And so that baby gnosis starts to drop beyond for some of us, you with me? And we continue along with the normal mind, but we've lost that gnosis, that baby gnosis, you with me? Then events happen and it opens up again. And some of us as baby gnosis, because in fact of the very fucking thing not working out quite right, you with me? And we have certain type of disturbances in that relational with the mother figure or this figure, that figure. That baby gnosis is there. It's amazing. That's why history is a very, very, I won't say arbitrary, but it has a lot of different mutations. So for some of us, baby gnosis never went into hiding. It was always there. And it really became a bit of a strange experience to be 10 years old with baby gnosis walking around, you know, and 11 years old. And yet, baby gnosis, no matter what your age, increases survivability. Baby gnosis increases survivability because it also increases vitality, even if you're sick as shit. Because vitality, right, is part of gnosis, part of this whole thing. Raise your hands if that's making sense to you. So some people, this drama of incarnation, which I'm going through right now and you're going through right now, is profoundly existential. Or to use Heideggerian language, there's a relationship between the ontic and the ontological. That is what we're about. Human beings are about being and being in this world and in an embodied fashion, huh? Is that making sense what I'm saying? I hope you're finding this useful today. But dissociation, splitting. One of the big dissociations, one we've been talking about this morning, reality and phenomena. That's a big dissociation, that all this is a function of my fantasy, or another way, we all have had the same karmic experience and now we're here together. But it's not still, there's a split between non-duality and duality. And you find this in most of these traditions where duality is not a part of the drama. And desire is not a part of it. Yes?
It seems to me,
We're going to do some experiments now.
simplify things.
Okay.
We're saying, once we discover this great thing called non-duality, say that's real, because you were born into the world where everybody's fighting around, they don't see this non-duality. But once we discover that and we lock it in, we go, this is really good stuff. This is the pinnacle of what we've been looking for. There is non-duality, we're all one. We then try to integrate it back into the duality, to the thinking mind.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say it this way. Non-duality and duality are simultaneous experiences. Separateness and togetherness are simultaneous. And actually, as Lacan, I think of his seminars where he talked about there's this desire. But one of the major things about desire is we don't know exactly what we're desiring. So I'm using the word duality or non-duality. That's just guru. That's just words. It is not the real thing.
We're
But
seeking
but
something.
number two also, have you ever been in a really good fight with a really good enemy? Was that a non-dual state? Did you experience oneness in that? A really good fight, especially if it's physical. You with me? And you're really you're boxing. You with me? And this is a person and you're in this fight, and your whole heart, mind, and soul is in it. And this person, there's a union there that is really fantastic, and actually can really turn bad too, and get one of us killed. You with me? So this is a very the language floats around in all this a little bit. But maybe we should do some experimenting today. I'll give it a long chat. So let's break up into couples, okay? The famous couples. Great.
Famous couples.
I'm so glad you guys are here today.
Oh, so great. So great. I feel home.
Yeah, me too. Like no time passed.
No time.
No.
There's no time. I just feel there's not an ounce of
I
time.
know.
It's just like
It's if we just picked up where we left
just
off.
left off, and there's time. Thank you, Isabel. So we're going to do this now, okay? I know. I'd like to welcome Helen back too. Helen's back. Welcome back, Alex. And we're in summertime. Now, summertime, by the way, we come and go a lot in summertime, right? So if you're going, it's not a big deal. Just let me know, because I'm trying to see, do we have enough people every week to meet, and we won't meet. So in summertime, people all come and go as they want to, okay? And here we go. So let's focus again. Now we're focusing on sublimation, okay? And a lot of places, and this is not being recorded today, but sometimes even at monasteries when I visited them, I was always amazed that no one knew anything about sublimation. And a lot of this stuff comes out of visiting monasteries, okay? And that's all they do. So, but it's actually repression and foreclosure. You with me? And repression and foreclosure is quite different. And with repression and foreclosure, you get tired out, you get beat out, and you lose vitality. So let's just focus with each other, okay? And we're just going to extend the awareness state to each other. And I'm going to extend to my two friends and companions over here. And they can extend to each other. We can extend to all three of us. You feel me? With you guys? Great. Now, as we extend, and then we're getting continuity, ongoing continuity. That's what real friendship is, you know? True companionship, demachicha, is continuity. And it's time and timelessness. So with true friends, whenever you meet, you're meeting timelessness in time. You with me? And what's so great about true friendship, it always has a quality consciousness. It's not asymmetrical. You with me? And it tolerates all kind of stuff. You with me? And so it's not the pure conventional way of seeing a person, right? You follow what I mean? It's not the pure conventional way of seeing a person. But it is pure in the best sense. Heart pure, heart essence. Mind. And in that you experience the oneness, the indivisibleness, and you know everything else. You know it. You see it. It's not hear no evil, see no evil. It's not being blind, deaf. So we'll extend again now. We'll extend from our heart. And then if I can find it, I'm going to give you that tantric thing. Here it is. Let me do this on Saturdays. Okay, and this is from a tantric practice called Duja Yudroma, the wish-fulfilling goddess. That fits very deep into everyone. These are always playing with the unconscious at some level, right? It's a liminal language. And so this text, there's like 5 practices to have your wishes fulfilled. Then when you finally get to the last one, it says, okay, forget about the other 4. Because simply in Dzogchen, forget about all that other stuff you learned. Forget about whatever you study. Just get beyond it. So now we're going to do this last one together, and then we'll work with each other. It says, this is the most secret practice, okay? So, yum. So you yourself appear as Padma. So we're using this Tibetan. So you now are Padma, the Guru Rinpoche. So first you're invoking the masculine aspect of yourself, right? And then it says as you feel that like you're the Guru. And you always should feel that you're the Guru. You always feel that you are the Guru. And you're seeing through the Guru's eyes and whatever that means to you and feeling through the Guru's body. You're the Guru, you. And then within you is this mantra, Hari, H-R-I, and it's sounded by Maharinisa, and that's the elements. Ma, space, Ha, water element, Ri, earth element, Ni, fire element in your heart, Sa, air element. And in front of, and then it suddenly appears to you, don't imagine any of this, just feel it, is your person in front of you is her, the dark blue Vajrahari of great bliss. So you feel this feminine energy of great bliss arising in front of you. And she has one face, and in her hair she has a pig, a sow, and the pig symbolizes Marigpa, ignorance, or stupidity, or foolishness. It means at one moment we have it, and the next moment we may not have it. And also she's fierce. There's a fierceness, there's a passionateness in her. You with me? And she has 3 eyes. And one eye is for experiencing with you and her the oneness, the indivisibleness, the non-duality. And with the other 2 eyes, she sees everything. She sees what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's this and that. And there's a mind-heart union. You can feel that in her, with you. And as you feel that in her with you, you deepen that. And then she's holding a Dzogchen, and she has a dagger. And that dagger is cutting through phenomena that she can see the essence of phenomena, which is the manifestation of being itself in all its variation, So she can experience the beingness of being itself in all its variation. And if she can do that, and she can feel that oneness or this indivisibleness in being, it will infuse her mind, just like Qigong master, and you will have more knowledge of what's happening. And then there's a kapala, a cup, in one of her hands, and that cup is filled with blood or amrita. That's the life force. So all these things are always working on the life force, the vitality, right? And then the katava, she has a stick she's leaning on, and that's the column of light. So we're going to focus on that column in her body. Now she's dancing. You can feel her body move. And whether you're male or female, you feel this feminine dimension in your body. You're touching androgynous, You feel the pulsation, the primordial pulsation, the abhasa, that opening and closing pulsation. And then you also feel this expanding. You feel the expansion of the energy of the waves. And you feel all these light rays. The light from you, from your awareness, is experiencing the light in her. So the light of awareness is experiencing the light in phenomena. Totally cool. It takes one to know one, right? Then in all 4 directions, she's also surrounded by other dakinis in energy. And from the syllables, this Maharinisa, comes a light. And it goes from you, goes into the world, goes through your companion, and then you start going into the world, and this is really a practice. Then you bring that energy, that back into you. Like all the people in the room. You feel everyone in this room. You feel the energy of the room. You feel the energy of your companion. You feel the energy of the different centers in your companion. Heart center, sexual center, dantian center, throat center. And you bring it back into your body. And there's this mutual exchange. In the Indian Upanishads, there's a great Upanishad called The World is Food. That this world is food. And we're bringing it in. And then all this light dissolves into your heart, into her heart. Now, then press the winds from top to bottom. So that means at your navel. Now if you want, you can take 3 fingers and place it at the navel, a little before the danyan, and press down and extend the energy down into the lower center. As you extend it down, you're going to feel yourself going into a breathless state. And then they ask you to do one more thing. Expand out like we were before. So you're pressing down and expanding out into each other and to around. Now this is a really useful tantric practice. You can feel the subtle breath arising. If you have to breathe, please do. Pressing down and expanding out. It's like you're entering into union. And then you can experience what starts to happen. Then they say through your right nostril. I usually place my finger on the left. Breathe in the subtle energy, like a hook and a lasso. And it's more respiration than breath, the inner respiration. Into the light, and you gather into yourself. It's like light. Then with the other nostril, you draw the respiration again, the breath, into your heart, through the entire body. And then we'll feel the bliss and openness. And as we establish ourselves there, we're going to take and awaken the sexual energy. We're not going into fantasy. We're not going into any narrative. You're not going into any imagery. You're almost doing it out of simply the power of invocation. Very subtle. Just go and invoke the sexual energy. It's actually the life force, huh? And you allow, you bring it up slowly to your navel. And then that door may open. And up from the navel. Sometimes a hand gesture helps rise it also. Up from the navel. So up through the belly. Go that little doorway under the breasts. And the energy comes up there. You're bringing the sexual energy. You're integrating it into this open, spacious, luminous state. And up through the throat. You can open your mouth up. Tiny breath. Palate of the mouth. Behind your eyes. Forehead. Top of your head. Opening it up. And you're sustaining it. You keep bringing things into the central channel. You're not closing anything off. It's almost like energy, food. And you can feel it in the mirroring, you can feel it in your companion. Into the heart. You can feel yourself opening up the inner heart more now. Opening your mouth almost. Gaining stability of awareness. Feeling the power of the energy. And you can notice where you actually feel the sexual energy and how it's configuring in yourself right now. they go all the way through your head. And you might feel spontaneous other apparitions or visions arising. And I would like you, if you don't mind in a moment, simply to give a simple embrace to your companion, but you're holding the energy, and you're simply going to embrace the person, sending them the great compassion. You're sending the light of awareness from this timelessness into time. And the first movement of that little tantric exercise can take you into timelessness nicely. Then we're going to just sit for a while. Did do a lot of blabbing this morning. So just let yourself take what for you might be the best thing you understood. Not what I said, but what you understood from your own awareness. What might be, take the best and leave the rest, right? What might be really useful for you and fun? Then we'll do one more thing. We'll extend to those we know and love who may be having difficulties. And you really want to have this practice. Sounds a bit magical, but it's magical because it doesn't depend on causality in the regular sense of causality, huh? You're invoking really like the shamanistic frame. You're invoking awareness itself through your own body and beyond you. I always remember when Joao came here many years ago and was sitting upstairs drinking, I think it is, and with one of those nice moments, and he says, would you like to hear, I've said this many times, the secret of shamanism? Sure. Yeah. He said, in one hand you hold the light of awareness. In the other hand you hold terror. And then you bring them together. You bring them together. You integrate them. And most of these Dakini texts have to do at some level with terror, right? They're all born in charnel grounds, right? And so this doesn't avoid death or terror or things like that. But it doesn't use the word, it doesn't take on the institutionalization of impermanence, you with me, as a thing. A thing. It actually keeps it naked for what it really is. Then we'll extend to each other. And then I will pass the microphone around, and if I can get it off, and we can share experiences if you'd like. But we're going to stay in awareness. We're not going to leave awareness, because the whole thing of Tantra is continuity. But also, you have to a little bit work like looking like a real person, because sometimes when you're in awareness, you can get a certain awareness look. You know? I sort of like my awareness look, but because awareness is not a trance, okay? When there is no phenomena and you're in awareness itself and you're in being itself, it can fall into trance states. You with me? And a lot of trance states are, as you know from knowing hypnosis, are dissociative states, and they really are very useful for lots of things. You with me? Like, I'm a sissy. detest pain. Okay, so knowing how to go into trance around pain is really good. You think I kind of say goodbye to awareness at that moment. But a lot of things can be trance states, but it's not the natural state of awareness. This is all us, natural. So I'm going to ask my two friends who just came here, how are you doing it? What's happening?
The two words that I'm experiencing is really embodiment and the relational aspect of that. Feels great.
What's it like to feel it from that timelessness that you're in also? What's it like to know that timelessness so well?
It feels like joy.
Yes. Stay with it for one more moment. Just stay with it.
Hmm.
And as you stay with it, what happens?
I just felt the water in my eyes of gratitude and love, but both towards you, all of you, and myself.
Thank you so much. And when we feel it, as you say it, we feel it so directly. That's what's so cool. You
Mm.
feel it inside to inside.
Mm.
It's happening.
Mm. Thank you.
And our other visitor, companions.
In the context of relatedness, I'm also relating to the time and the timelessness and the seamlessness of that in my body. At the same time, it feels very non-personal.
Yes. Can have that doubleness, huh?
Yeah.
But I like what she's saying also. I told them I was talking to them. I'll say this, is what she's bringing forth too is pure vision is a doubleness. Pure vision will have a doubleness. It will have a doubleness of non-duality and duality. It will have a doubleness at times of being so personal and yet non-personal at the same time. And it's all very simultaneous. It's like oneness and separate simultaneousness. And if we just keep it to this, that is really a lot. You with me? And it demythologizes a lot of the other stuff. At least that's how I look at it. I also like the word friendship. So in my own life, to me, friendship, amicizia, is it frees us up from theocratic and patriarchal cases. So almost any of the teachers I've ever had, I always approach them as a friend. And if I don't feel the friendship, this is not for me. Doesn't mean it may not be for you. It's just not for me. And that way, no matter what happens, something's happening. No matter what happens, something's happening. So, would anyone else like to share an experience? Let's pass it to Skip, since he's right here. There you go, Skip. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Really well. When we touched the navel and sent the energy down, that's when to the earth, then the earth came immediately back up, opened up the sexual center.
Fantastic.
Just,
Fantastic.
and then I could feel the resonance between us.
Yes. That is really useful for everybody. Down, earth element arises in a simultaneous way. Thank you very much. Welcome back, Alex. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Are you all done with Hopkins?
A couple more weeks.
Fantastic. Great.
when it was interesting to work with somebody again like this, because as it went up, as that same experience continued up, it was almost like I couldn't go wrong with somebody here. It wasn't a mirror because I wasn't reacting. It was just this follow it along, and it carried it to not witness but experience it coming up through him, allowed everything to just continue. It was effortless.
Effortless. I love what you're saying because it really influences all of us. Number one, this is effortless. The more I try, effortlessness is two. Number two, it's following one thing after another. And number three, it's not witness consciousness. Perhaps the most seductive thing in all this is witness consciousness. They want to dissolve the witness because the witness is a subtle state of dissociation. It's very useful when deep shit is happening, right? At times. If you're really good, you can stay in it. But at times, shifting to witness consciousness is really, but it's actually subtle dissociatedness, which we all want to dissolve. Let's pass it to I'm sorry, I'm blank now. Yes, you. Elizabeth.
The impersonal Elizabeth. Well, what I'm really with is the non-psychological history with this being that I'm partnered with expanded the capacity for the doorway in ways that I would never have looked for, but just arose from the field. And I was so aware that there was a way I could go through the doorway, being held by all the path that we've walked together.
Beautifully described. Psychology's in the background.
No,
absolutely. So much. Heidegger talked about it too. The ontological. A lot of this is phenomenon, and especially around this dimension, what happens so often, traditions cut off the ontological and try and make it simply ontic.
Yes.
Especially around things like awareness, guru, and stuff like that. And they're not ontic. They're not. You really want to get down into the ontological, which would involve the psychology.
Yes.
Welcome, Steve.
For me, the most powerful thing today was when Elizabeth's dagger just came into me, and I was experiencing all of this great energy, but it was like a fog, and it was like not differentiated in any way. And her dagger went, and everything suddenly got clarified, and it was like this dynamic, and it was so filled. It became filled with color, with movement, with wind, with energy. It came alive.
Beautifully describing that cutting through phenomenon. It's incredible. The capacity to cut through phenomena in order to open up the phenomena of being itself. And I'm going to ask Juliet, since Juliet on this side. I'm going to go to Juliet this side. I'm sorry. This conversation was a function of Juliet's talk on last Wednesday. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you. I mean, the first thing that took me was the incredible power and the fire of the sexual energy rising up and opening up everything. Both of us, that rising together and the opening and the embodiment, and then our spheres that melded together and then expanded out, incorporating the whole room. And truly the power of it, just the incredible power of it was,
Thank you so much. Carrie, you want to share? And then will be the last person to share.
For me, the fingers down and getting down into the earth and feeling this globe of roots working its way into the earth, and then the green stem that emerged up and worked its way up my body and up and up and up, and then the 1,000 petals of absorbing the heavenly light, and again that sweet enveloping light, and out of that connection through my whole body and through the shared energy, holding it, just felt wonderful and huge.
Thank you so much. So, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You know, for the past number of years, we always had different type of people come here, right? And different traditions, and they mix, and we take the best and leave the rest, whatever that means for you or for me. But we've been having the Kagyu tradition come, and also I've visited Drykorn Kagyu, which is the new translation. And it's been enormously useful for me to know where I'm at and where I'm not, number one. It actually helps me know what fits for me and what doesn't. And something may fit for you. Number two about this is, as Lama Norla would say, and as he said one time, going through all this, ultimately this is all very personal. And that's what I gave one of the talks, it's fantasy, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately it's all very personal. Tom, would you mind? Great, thanks. If it's a bill collector, send them away. If it's an old friend, good. So ultimately, the relationship with the teacher, in certain ways for me, is beyond the teachings. I would tell you, it's beyond the teachings. You with me? It's simply beyond the teachings. Yet the very teachings help me know what fits for me, what doesn't fit for me. And Lama Norla myself, we know since the very beginning where we are and where we're not, you know. But that doesn't at all drop the capacity to have this ongoing, unfolding light. You with me? In spite of whatever. Because I don't have the perfect conventional view of a teacher. And that is really fantastic. You with me? And then it's okay. You with me? Whatever. You with me? It doesn't mean I don't make statements or opinions about cultural things, you with me, which have to go. That's what I wanted to say.
But it's also great as the teacher.
As a teacher, it's also great as a teacher. That complexity is part of it. You with me? Thank you. I'd like to thank you guys for coming.
We meet
Next Wednesday. We also have...
But not this Friday.
Not this Friday. We're not going to... August, I'll be here most of August, depending on what takes place. Also, they're having this Lama come, who is really should be a cool person. He's going to teach August 18th, and I got to send it out as an announcement. But his teacher was really, in my mind, one of the great Dzogchen teachers, Punsik. You with me? And I had another teacher who was a student of his who was fantastic. So he'll be coming someplace August 18th, it's a Friday evening. But he's also going to Jetsuma's place on Wednesday, before that, Wednesday. And what I like about what he's doing at Jetsuma's place is he's teaching on Dzogchen. You with me? And he's a really great Dzogchen master. some of his texts won't show that, but I'm going to try and go there to Jetsuma's place. And he's also teaching on the Namcho empowerment of Pema Rinpoche, there's another lineage, which is the space stuff. So that would be cool to go to, okay? Thank you. Hope everybody had a good time today. And we had those are two wonderful people that were here. They're just the best. They're great therapists. They really are cool. Thank you, guys. See you later, and hasta la vista, baby.